What's up guys, my name's Brandon and I've been using iOS 14 Beta 5 all week long, and as I do every single Saturday, I wanted to give you guys an update on how the software has been performing for me on multiple devices and also how it's been performing for you guys as well. Near the end I will talk about your guys' experience with the software as well, but in this video we're going to cover some additional new features and changes that I did not cover in my initial What's New video. We're going to talk about the battery life, the performance, the bugs, the bug fixes, everything about iOS 14 Beta 5. So first off, as expected, Beta 5 is a huge upgrade from Beta 4. I mean, night and day difference between the two. Beta 4 I still think is the worst beta of any of the iOS 14 betas so far, and thankfully I don't think there's going to be anything worse than that. However, there are some new bugs that were introduced with Beta 5, and we're going to talk about those here in a moment. But first, let's discuss some of the additional new features and changes in Beta 5 that I did not cover in my initial What's New video. The first one is inside of Safari. So if you're in Safari and you're on a website, if you go to the address bar and click on the two A's right there, and then you go down to Privacy Reports, you'll see that you no longer have to click on Privacy Report to see if there are any trackers on that website. Now right below Privacy Report, it simply says no trackers contacted. And if you click on it, of course it will give you additional information, but you don't actually have to click and go into the full privacy report now to see if there are any trackers on that website, which is nice. Also new in Beta 5, there is a slight adjustment to the lock screen when you're in bedtime mode. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn on bedtime mode right there, lock the screen, and you will see, of course, it is a little bit dark, but it now shows the bed icon instead of saying sleep well. So just a minor adjustment there, a little bit cleaner on the lock screen when you are in bedtime mode. We also get some changes inside of the music application. So you'll probably notice these right away, but the album artwork is a little bit smaller. And the biggest change here in Beta 5 is that the background color, the dominant color of the album artwork, is now a lot more accurate than it was in previous betas. As you can see over here on the left, it's like this real intense blue color, whereas over on the right, it's a more subtle, more accurate color, more accurate depiction of the actual dominant color in this album artwork. So it's constantly getting better with picking out the colors, and now it also seems that Apple has made that color in the background more subtle and easier on the eyes. We also get a slight change inside of the Photos application. So over here on the left are previous betas where it just says Photos, and then on Beta 5 now it says Library. So instead of Photos, that's been renamed to Library, but they do the same thing. They just show all of your pictures. We also have a new option deep inside of these settings. So if we go to our settings and then go down to Privacy and then Location Services, and then down all the way to System Services. I also want to point out that there is a hang here inside of settings when you try to go to System Services in Beta 5. This did not happen in any previous beta, so for some reason, it just really gets hung up on going into System Services. And just to show you guys, it's not just on this device. You can see here it's hanging on Beta 5 on my iPhone 11 Pro Max as well. So for some reason, that is a bug in Beta 5. It just hangs and it takes forever to get into System Services if you can get in there at all. Okay, the System Services tab is completely broken in Beta 5. As you can see, it locks up my entire settings application. I tried it on multiple devices and it happens on every single one of them, but there was something new inside of System Services, but it's just for developers anyways. It wasn't anything major, but I ran into this bug here and that's pretty annoying in Beta 5. But anyways, moving on to the next new change here in Beta 5, there is a slight change to the folder. So you may have noticed this, you may have thought something looked a little bit off with the folders in Beta 5, and that's because they are slightly different. So they are a little bit taller and a little bit slimmer than they were in previous beta. So I'll pull up another folder over here, and you can see there, they're just a little bit taller. Just the shape of the folder is a little bit different in Beta 5. Also, when you go to add the clock widget to your home screen, you'll now see city first instead of world clock, and you would have to go all the way to the end in previous betas to see city, but now that is first here in Beta 5. Also, there is a slight change to the order inside of news as well. So if you go to news, you'll see that the today view is first in Beta 5, whereas before it was topic, and then it went on from there. And speaking of the widgets, I've not had one issue with widgets yet. So I've rebooted my device multiple times. I've checked the clock widget all throughout the day to make sure it's showing the correct time, and it is. The music is changing more frequently. The weather, I've noticed, is also updating more frequently than it did in past betas. So widgets seem to be doing a lot better than they were in previous betas. They were pretty much a train wreck in betas 1 through 3. 4, even though it was buggy, still fixed a lot of the issues with the widgets. And now it seems like pretty much everything is refined with the widgets here in beta 5. But of course, Apple will continue improving those so that they are perfect. Now, also in beta 5, I talked about this in my What's New video, but I did just want to add some additional context to this. So the scroll wheel. So if you go to add an alarm now in beta 5, you now don't have to manually type in the time that you want to go to sleep or set your alarm for, which was extremely annoying. I didn't like it. I thought it was very unintuitive. I thought that the scroll wheel made a lot more sense and was a lot more, enjoyable to actually use your finger and, feel the haptic feedback. Well, in beta 5, you actually can do that. So you can scroll right here, but a lot of people probably don't know that unless you watch these YouTube videos, because it's not really apparent. I mean, the text box there is still tiny. There's nothing that really says you can scroll. So I really think that Apple needs to make this box bigger, or just add some sort of UI element to show that you can actually scroll right here, because it's small. It's kind of hard, to get your finger in there and scroll. And also a lot of people, your average users, probably won't know that you can scroll. So I hope that Apple does make some minor adjustments to that scroll wheel in future betas, and I will be, keeping an eye on that as well to see if anything has changed. And as far as additional bug fixes that I've been testing out all week, first off, I can say that all the issues with the AirPods seem to be resolved here in beta 5. So the main thing was phone calls. When you'd be listening to music or just having your AirPods in and you answered a phone call, you would not be able to hear the other person on the other end of the phone at all. And there was also an issue, a major issue, which I haven't talked about because I didn't actually think that it was related to iOS 14, but now I know that it's been fixed in beta 5, so it was a bug on betas 3 and beta 4, is that there was a very major echo when you would make a phone call via Bluetooth in your car. So specifically in the Tesla, I noticed that, but I have also heard other people talk about it in other cars as well. So that issue with the major echo seems to be fixed here in beta 5. Also, the keyboard disappearing bug is completely fixed in beta 5. I've not had that happen one time, and I've also not seen any reports of the disappearing keyboard happening again in beta 5. I know that was one of the major things in beta 4 that a lot of people hated, and it actually happened in beta 3 as well. But beta 5, your keyboard will not be disappearing. Even when you add media to text messages, or if you're in Twitter and you're typing, it won't disappear on you now in beta 5, thankfully. And then of course, one of the other major issues in beta 4 was Instagram constantly crashing. So Instagram would crash for people a lot. It crashed for me a lot as well, especially when I went into stories and then I tried to zoom in on pictures, or when I would go to somebody's story highlights and click on those and go to the next one, it would crash the application. There were just a lot of issues with Instagram in beta 4. And now actually in beta 5, there is a new issue with Instagram. So if we go in here, I will show you this new issue. So if you go to your stories right here and you take a picture, take a look at this. It just turns completely black. You literally cannot even post Instagram stories because of iOS 14 beta 5. And if you want to add, something from your library, if you go to do this, you can see there that it turns black as well. So you literally cannot post anything on Instagram. Now, if you guys use Instagram stories a lot and this is kind of a deal breaker for you, you're in luck, because I do have a workaround for this so you can post photos on iOS 14 beta 5. So all you have to do is take a picture. It will turn black, but go to your photo library and go to the picture you want to post. So say I wanted to post this photo on my Instagram story on iOS 14 beta 5, but of course, when you go to select it, it just turns all black. Well, the workaround for this is go to the share button right here, click on copy photo, and then go back to Instagram, and you will see this pop up right here. If it doesn't, you can just go to the text right here and then just tap and go to paste. And there you go, you have your photo. You can blow it up. You can add other text on there and everything. Of course, it doesn't look great right there, but you can adjust it in there. It's not going to be perfect, but it is a little workaround for still adding photos to Instagram stories on iOS 14 beta 5, since it does appear to be broken. Now, another really annoying bug in iOS 14 beta 5, and this is a bug I've never had before on any previous iOS version, Face ID just simply would not work sometimes. So like yesterday, I was on my phone, I would lock it, I would go to unlock it, and I just had it unlocked, I would unlock it and it would ask me for my password right away. It wouldn't scan my face for Face ID. So I was like, okay, I'll put in my password. And then next time I did it, same thing happened. It happened over and over and over again for a couple of hours. Face ID just didn't work. It didn't even want to scan my face. It would just have me put in my password. So that was really annoying. I know first world probs, but still that was annoying. And that is a new bug here in beta 5. Other people have also had this. I know somebody asked me over on Twitter about this earlier tonight as well. As you can see right here, Mike said, have you heard of reports of Face ID not working all the time on beta 5? And that's when I told him, yep, happened to me yesterday, like I just told you guys. So that's a really annoying bug if you do have a Face ID device. I'm not sure if it's happening with Touch ID as well. I've not heard any reports of that yet. Another bug I had in beta 5 is that I simply cannot play my music on the HomePod. So you can see here, this is a screen recording of me trying to play music on my HomePod, and it just simply will not play the music. I tried changing, back and forth between different sources. I tried playing on the HomePod itself, and nothing worked. So that is also a bug here in beta 5. Some users have also been reporting a bug with YouTube where it would show that your microphone was being used while you were watching videos. So this has not happened to me, and I'm not sure if this is really a bug or not. I mean, some people probably grant access to YouTube, and I'm not sure really what's going on. But if you were having issues with YouTube and, iOS 14 showing that your microphone is being used in the application, let me know in a comment down below, because that's not happened to me yet. But one bug that has been happening to me recently is that sometimes I cannot open applications from the app library. So the app library is still pretty finicky here, even in beta 5. Sometimes when I would go into a folder and I would click on an application, it just simply wouldn't launch. I'd tap it multiple times, I'd hold on it, and nothing would launch the application. Seems to be working right now, at least for this folder right here, but there are times when it just simply doesn't work as it should. Now, unfortunately, the autocorrect is still a little bit off here in beta 5. So I know a lot of people have been talking about this really since like iOS 14 beta 2, but the autocorrect is still a little bit off. Sometimes it will just simply suggest words that you've never used before and that don't even make sense. So I'm gonna see if I can type anything. So yeah, it's not gonna work on this because this isn't my main device, but the autocorrect and the predictive text does seem to be a little bit wonky right now on beta 5 still, so it's still not fixed. So now let's talk about the performance in iOS 14 beta 5, and I will tell you guys that it definitely feels smoother than beta 4, and it's not just the amount of bug fixes, which is a huge, part of why it feels so stable in general here in beta 5, but also the raw performance just seems a lot faster. Really, that issue inside of settings was the only issue I've really had besides, like Instagram and stuff like that. This is really the only issue where it like slows down the system that I've had in beta 5, whereas in beta 4 and beta 3, I had random issues where it would just freeze and hang for a while, and sometimes, when I was in sleep mode, I wouldn't even be able to unlock my device. Things like that were happening. None of that has happened so far in beta 5, so the performance seems to be very, very solid here in beta 5. Now, as far as the battery life goes in beta 5, the battery life feels exactly the same to me as beta 4, unfortunately, but I never had any issue with the battery in beta 4. So some people, as they always do with every version of iOS ever, people are gonna have issues and complain about the battery life, but I have seen a lot of good reports of battery life in beta 5. So for those of you who are not getting as good a battery life in beta 4, beta 5 seems to fix it for a lot of users. So this chart won't really tell you a lot, but it kind of gives you an idea of how I've been using my phone. And you can see there, I really didn't charge my phone very often throughout the day. And besides, that little charge there when it got low, battery life has been great. I mean, take a look at how much time I was on my phone today. So that's great that I didn't have to charge it for that long when I was constantly on my phone. You can see the dark blue bars there, mainly from just trading on Robinhood, which, by the way, if you guys want a free stock on Robinhood, I will leave my referral link down in the description below. But the battery life has been really solid here in beta 5, absolutely no complaints, and it's pretty much the same to me as beta 4, maybe just a slight bit better if I had to say better or worse, but it feels pretty much exactly the same as beta 4 to me. So now, is it safe to update to iOS 14 beta 5? And I say yes, definitely, especially if you're on beta 4 right now, you should absolutely update to beta 5. I even said that in my What's New video. I could just tell already that it was better than beta 4 because beta 4 was so bad. But if you were one of those people who stayed back on beta 3, I think it's safe to go ahead and jump onto beta 5 and you'll, pretty much feel like you're back on beta 3 with some new additional features and also probably slightly smoother and more stable as well. And then finally, let's go ahead and take a look at the community poll. So if we go to the community tab here on my channel, every week, of course, I do ask you guys how these betas have been running for you. This is how you guys can get an input, and it also helps me understand, some of the bugs that people are facing, the battery life issues, performance. This really helps me understand how you guys are doing. So I just selected something random. It's actually excellent for me. So I'm going to go ahead and select the one that actually applies to me. But you can see here, I asked, how has iOS 14 beta 5 been for you? And 16% said excellent, no annoying bugs. 26% said good, just some minor bugs. 5% said decent, buggy, and bad battery. And then 2% said terrible, I had to downgrade. And of course, 52% are not on iOS 14 yet. And comparing this to beta 4, so we had 16 and 25 up top. If we compare this to beta 4, look at that, 10 and 24. So 10% said excellent. That is a 6% increase in excellent here in beta 5. So that alone tells you that this is a much better, much more stable software version than beta 4. But of course, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. But anyways, let's go and take a look at some of these comments here. And I really like, by the way, when you guys do these right here, where you just have a bullet point of the issues or, whatever you want to say, it makes it a lot easier to read. And obviously some people agree as well. 9 thumbs up here. So Sharag, he said that Instagram camera stopped working. I talked about that. Storage bug. So it looks like he's having that other storage increasing, which 8 gigabytes is not a lot. Battery life kind of good, little laggy, clock widget solved, keyboard bug solved. Still buggy, but it's good, better than beta 4, hoping for the best in the next update. So thanks for that input there. Standard iPhone 11 works like butter. Don't notice a significant battery drain compared to before the update. So that's good to hear as well on the iPhone 11. And you see a lot of people talking about that Instagram bug that I mentioned earlier. Good overall, haven't encountered any bugs, although when I used any widget that used my location, my iPhone SE2 would heat up and battery would drain fast. So I had to remove any widget that used my location. Very interesting. I've not had that before. I know a lot of people are, worried about that in the beginning, but I've definitely not had any issue with the widget so far. So that might be a bug because I've not heard of that, and that definitely shouldn't be happening on the 2020 iPhone SE. So of course there are issues with third-party applications. You can see here FizzyPop said that Twitter isn't letting me check the following/follower count or DM. So obviously this is a beta. I just talked about how it's fine to go ahead and update, but keep in mind that it's always a beta. I mean, you're going to have issues with third-party applications. You're going to have crashes. You're going to have random issues like that. It's a beta. It's not a final stable release. So you should be expecting, bugs in general and app crashes in general. BingPot here has an iPhone XR, and although it's much better than beta 4, he is still experiencing some bugs. So we talked about the autocorrect being wacky. Talked about AirPods randomly disconnecting, so I've not had that issue on my AirPods Pro. Some apps such as Adobe Premiere Rush and Instagram have some bugs, like the camera not really working in Instagram. We talked about that. Battery life isn't really good, but I understand that Apple isn't focusing on that right now. So I've actually heard a lot of iPhone XR users say that battery life isn't great. So for some reason, that's supposed to be one of the best phones for battery life, and it's struggling here on these early betas of iOS 14. He also talks about the clock widget. It's fixed. So he also says that the light to dark on the clock widget are set up to align with the sunrise and sunset are delayed. I have noticed that as well. So if you guys go to the home screen, the clock doesn't actually get dark right when it goes to sunset. It's like an hour delayed for me as well. So they are still working out that issue with the widget on the clock there. And then you can see here, Bun said battery life is slightly better than beta 4, but still worse than iOS 13. I would agree with you there. Bugs, he talks about the Instagram bug. He also talks about lag on iPhone 7 Plus, appears to have problems to launch a phone properly after unlock, a phone with Touch ID. Then he also talks about overheating when charging sometimes, which overheating during charging is probably just because you're using the device while it's charging, which will just heat it up, by nature. And that's, not really the best for the battery life, but that's also not a bug with iOS 14. One weird chick said that in my app folder, when I scroll to the next page in a folder, it glitches. Like say I scroll to the 4th page, the dots indicate it's the 3rd page until I just scroll again. Also, the audio light indicator is now yellow instead of orange on the iPhone 11. So that appears to be a bug in beta 5 as well. And Joshua also is having that. There's a few apps that aren't compatible, but other than that, it hasn't been bad. So yeah, some of those other apps are apps like Pokemon Go. There are still like 1 or 2 banking apps that still don't work, but most of the banking apps have been updated and work with iOS 14. Call of Duty Mobile also works with beta 5 as well. But anyways, you can see here running very smooth on iPhone 7. Battery is slightly better. Only bug I experienced was Instagram, and some people agree with that there as well. So good news for the iPhone 7. But anyways, if you guys want to read through all these comments, you can. I read through all of them. I just can't read through all of them on this video unless you guys want to just sit here all night and listen to me read these. But you can go ahead and check them out over on the community tab. I appreciate every one of you for voting and leaving the comments. Of course, stay tuned for the next poll and leave a comment for your chance to be featured in one of my videos here. But overall, the consensus is pretty good for beta 5, and I think it's a nice update over beta 4. But of course, like always, let me know your experience down in the comment section below. How has it been for you? Do you agree, disagree with anything I said in this video? Let me know down there in those comments. You guys know I love reading them and also replying to them. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, I would appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up, and also make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the iOS 14 beta 6 video, which could actually be coming as soon as early next week. So the week of the 24th is when we could possibly see the next beta, probably on the 25th or the 26th, since Apple does like to release on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. But if it doesn't come on the 25th or 26th, it could come on, the early September, so the 1st or the 2nd. So just stay tuned. I will talk about it over on my Twitter and also in the Discord server as well. Links for everything are down in the description below. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.